Good afternoon, and welcome to CBM Calling on May 14th. Thanks for taking some time to join with us and hear about God, his global mission, and how he's at work through his church. My name's Adrian Gardner. I'm really excited today to have my colleague Randy Stanton, CBM's Atlantic rep, with me. And together we're going to have a conversation with two pastors from Birch Cove Baptist in Halifax, Nova Scotia. John Wilton is the lead pastor there, and Tara Embrett is the associate in Christian education and mission. And Birch Cove is actually our most recent step church, partnering with the church in India and how God's at work through churches there. Welcome, John and Tara and Randy. Looking forward to this conversation.
Great to be with you. Good, Adrian.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, like all churches, you've been thrown into this new reality. The church and its activities look very different today than I'm sure you were planning in your meetings, as you're thinking through the year. And I'm sure what you're doing looks very different. But how has COVID-19 impacted Birch Cove?
Well, I probably in ways that are similar to a lot of our churches. I'm saying to Tara that I really didn't know what Zoom was a few months ago. Now it's every second sentence is Zoom this and Zoom that, and we're doing a lot of our ministry online, and parts of that are really, really good. We've had good response to online worship on Sunday morning. I would say 80-ish%, 75-80% of our congregation are really connecting live on Zoom. Some of that's pre-recorded, but a lot of it's live. Great interaction. Our meetings during the week are happening on Zoom mostly. And, I think the plus side for us, Adrian, I'm finding, and I'm sure a lot of others are finding, that there's a different level of sharing during this time on Zoom, but maybe even more so on phone calls and so forth, that the conversations are a little bit deeper and get to a different place, which is good. It's refreshing. Lots of challenges, but lots of really good faith conversations happening during this time. And a lot of our ministries, youth ministries, children's ministries, a couple of times a week, our youth are meeting and they're excited to meet on Zoom. Our children's, even right down to the youngest kids. Tara, what's our youngest group? What?
Preschool. We have preschool Zoom meetings.
They're thrilled to have their own meeting.
Yeah,
and
screen time.
So they're meeting online with Zoom, and a lot of our mission work is kind of moving forward in new ways. Tara, you're more involved in that at this point.
Yeah, and everyone is really eager to find ways to help and to be involved in our community. I know it's really hard. It's like across the country, trying to find those ways to be engaged. Restrictions. I know John's wife Lori, who works at a nursing home nearby, she challenged the congregation on a Sunday morning and said they needed iPads, that the residents were feeling really disconnected and needed some ways to connect with their family. And even by that afternoon, she had enough for every unit in the nursing home. Donations from our congregation. So I think people are just really eager to find ways to be involved. We've been in touch with our community partners. A lot of their ministry has changed too, and they don't really, they're reducing their volunteers to a real skeleton staff for safety reasons, but their need has really increased in the food banks and in soup kitchens that we're connected with. They're offering bag lunches. They really need, but they cost more to do that. And they're also having more people come looking for food. So we've asked them what they need, and they really need money. So finances. So we've been taking up some special offerings and trying to support them the best way we can. I know the kids, for the bag lunches, the kids are actually decorating some bags with some encouraging statements on them, and we're going to deliver those to the soup kitchen to use next week. So just ways to connect. I know we're really encouraging our families to reach out just even in their neighborhood and watch out for people in need, ways to support frontline workers, to encourage each other. And we see lots of our members becoming part of kind of community initiatives. I know John is out every evening at 7 o'clock singing "Oh Canada" on the front porch with his neighbors. So it's been a good time to encourage that community connection. And we also realize, especially in Nova Scotia, with everything that's been happening, there's a lot of spiritual needs as well. And we're excited. Next week, we're launching an online alpha to help meet some of those spiritual needs as well. And we're hopeful that maybe people who aren't comfortable coming to the church building might be more willing to try this. And we're really encouraged and excited about what this opportunity can do.
Well, it's fascinating. Yesterday, I spoke with a pastor from Havana, Cuba.
Yeah.
And while the specifics might be a little different, it's exactly the same thing. Finding new ways to connect with your people and do ministry together. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I think we're learning a lot of these new ways. And I know there's been a lot of talk about this, but I think it's true. A lot of the things that we're learning now will continue to apply even after things get back to back to some normal. But the new normal will be different in many ways. So we're learning lots of stuff for the future, for sure.
You guys ended up becoming our newest step partner just as the COVID virus hit us. And I was with you for the signing on March the 1st, actually. And it was such a great time. But can you maybe share a little bit about how you came about the process and coming on to as part of a STEP program, church?
Yeah, sure, Randy. We've known about STEP program for a long time. And certainly over the years, I've had contact with other churches and other pastors that have helped lead through the STEP program and moving out globally in that way. So it's been kind of on the radar for a long time. I would say, I don't know how many years ago now, but we worked through the discovery process with CBM, with Alden Crane, and really began at that point being real strategic and kind of focused on what we're doing as opposed to just a whole lot of scattered things. We wanted to do some things particularly well. And so we focused both our local mission as well as global mission. And STEP became a big part of that, our hopes for global mission. It took a while. We had the Syrian refugee crisis happened about the time we were looking to commit. And so a lot of our resources, a lot of our time went into that as we became a sponsoring church for that crisis. And but following that, things moved along really quick. We had a visit from Suraj, right, Tara?
Yep. You want me to?
Yeah.
About a year ago it was that we started really working hard on it. Our missions committee really decided that this was the time and we were going to move through and get this done. And talking with Adrian and Randy, we quickly identified India as an area of need. And so we just kept praying about that and saying, is this where we're meant to serve and partner with? And so just feeling peace about that as we kept moving in that direction. And then we just kept talking and sharing with the congregation and keeping and taking our time, letting them know what was going on and what this was all about. And through our business meetings and through just in our worship services. And then it was a God thing, I think, that Suraj was planning a visit to Canada. And so he was able to come in September to our church.
Yeah, that was a real turning point, I think, for our congregation to see Suraj face to face. And I think you were there with him as well that evening, Randy. So it was a great thing.
Yeah, and all those pictures, just really seeing what exactly was happening there. And people really started to get excited at that point. So we just kept moving forward and just kept praying and just decided that we'd have the vote in the new year in January. We decided to do it outside of our budget for a variety of reasons, but one of them was that sense that people would have a bigger investment in the ministry if they're contributing in a more direct way to it. We decided that $10,000 a year sounds like a lot, but it's 100 people giving $100 is what we broke it down to. And so our youth pastor, Andrew, came up with a great idea. We had a big map of India in our sanctuary and we covered it with 100 balloons And we decided that every time we raised $100, we would pop a balloon.
At the service. Yeah.
At the service, in the worship service, yes. So we would do it, we were quickly counting during the service and would run in at the end to pop balloons. So the first Sunday, we were shocked and amazed. We popped 69 balloons on the first Sunday, and then on the second Sunday, we finished all 100 balloons. So that was enough for our first year commitment in pledges. And then, but we'd given people the option to pledge for second and third year too. So by about 2 weeks after that, we had all $30,000 in pledges for the 3-year commitment.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean,
Awesome.
I think I just want to take a second. We've been talking, and I probably should have explained. Some people might be watching and not fully understand what STEP is. And basically, a STEP partnership is an invitation for a church in Canada to enter into a strategic, focused relationship, move beyond mission support to a mission relationship, really investing in a specific country. And Birch Cove has taken that on for a 3-year commitment in India, partnering with the ministry that our staff do and our partner churches. It's a relationship not just between Birch Cove and CBM, but also between Birch Cove and the local church partners in India. So just if you're watching and thinking, what's this STEP thing that they're talking about? It is this focused strategic relationship for a church to engage with one of our global partners.
Yeah.
So,
Stands for Serving, Training, Energizing Partnerships.
Mhm.
So just a wonderful opportunity. So thanks so much, Birch Cove, for being part of that. John, you and I go a long ways back. We have known each other since school days. And
Not that long, Randy. We're not that old.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
But
Sorry.
one of the wonderful things is that you've told me a little bit about your family at different times when we've gotten together, and wondered if you could share a little bit of your family's relationship with both CBM and India. That would be great to hear.
Yeah, well, the relationship with India goes back a long way, and it really, nobody needed to twist my arm in terms of developing a kind of a love and passion for the work in India. My grandparents on my dad's side, Leslie and Alma Wilton, were missionaries in Andhra Pradesh. Their home was in Pittapuram, and that was in. So my dad was born in 1930, so they were there in the 20s and 30s, and my grandfather taught at the theological seminary in Kokonada, and so I really kind of knew a little bit about India. Our family eats a lot of curry as a result, and actually about 16 years ago, I had the opportunity of going back there with a mission team led by David Watt, and got to visit a lot of those places, a lot of the ministries that we're now supporting. I got to see them kind of face to face. So I think that's one of the things that attracted me to STEP, is that we get that opportunity to kind of see and focus in on actual real ministries. We get to see them, maybe not in person, although we do hope to send a team eventually to India. That's up in the air with security and all sorts of things there now, but yeah, that family history goes way back. My dad was born there, and I got a chance to go there. So I like to think I didn't twist Birch Cove's arm too hard to get them to go the India direction, but I was really pleased that they supported that.
Such a lovely connection with Siraj when he was there. It just,
Oh yeah,
you guys just walked right in to a family. It was wonderful. Yeah, great.
okay, so way back when your church is involved in the Discover process, and you decide to focus, you make this commitment to, you feel God is in this, you're going to become STEP partners with India. Siraj's visit comes. You have the opportunity for people to pledge support, and you're popping balloons like crazy. And then COVID-19 comes.
Yeah.
And everything shuts down. Or sorry, everything changes. It doesn't shut down. You quickly pivot to online, and there could have been a tendency at that time to say, oh, hang on, we need to play it safe. We need to put a hold on all of our outside commitments. We need to think of our own needs first. And we've been really touched at CBM by the exact opposite from your church. Actually received a request or an offer to say, do you need more of the funds right away to try to help meet the need in India. How have you been able to do that? How have you seen your people rise to this challenge and just exhibit such generosity in a challenging season?
I think, as we mentioned earlier, we really took our time through the STEP process, and we spent a lot of time in prayer. We had the benefit of having Siraj here and really getting a sense of what was happening even before we made that commitment. There was a real strong excitement, enthusiasm for this ministry before we signed anything. And so and how quickly the funds came. So it was just natural, I think. It's been in our hearts. We've had the kids, even as I meet with the kids on Zoom, which I do a few times a week, when we have our prayer times together, they just naturally bring up and pray for India on their own. And they've been learning and growing, and people are always asking us what's happening in India and what do you know and how can we pray. So, and even as financial uncertainty, we've been amazed by that the money just keeps coming in. We had a lot before the COVID hit, but a good portion, but even still every week there's more money coming in. So it's been really exciting. We have about 85% of our for this year at this point. And really early on we realized that India was really facing some extreme challenges, and as we were praying for them and worrying about what was happening there, we wanted to figure out how we could help. And the missions community was very eager that they wanted to figure out a way to help, and would help sending our money now, whatever we could now, be of help in this really hard time. I don't know, John, if you have anything to.
Yeah, no, you hit it. And I think it's a credit to the heart that our people have for mission. I think that's developed over the years, and I think I see that growing, and that's certainly been evident. The speed with which they supported the project, the STEP program in India, I think just demonstrated that they were just ready. I mean, they were ready to move out and to support, and for them to be able to say, okay, this education program, this medical program, this reaching out to the marginalized group, that's what we're supporting, knowing rather than just putting money in a pot to go wherever, for them to know and to have that relationship. I think, and then to hear as we moved on into COVID that the needs there were significant. It wasn't a hard thing to say, well, let's send it now. So we were in the position to be able to do that. So that's great.
Yeah, well, please, again, I mean, we've said this already, but on Facebook Live, I'll say it, please pass on our appreciation to all the people at Birch Cove. You're right, the stories we hear from India right now, and the need is great. And but at the same time, the incredible way that the local church is responding there through our partnership it's moving how God is at work through his church in these difficult times.
One of the things I've been constantly amazed at is that the partnerships in India or anywhere really that we partner, they want to be a part of our world as well. And they want to pray for us. They want to hold us up. They really like to know what's happening in our world as well. But through it all, though, what is your dream at Birch Cove of your partnership with CBM and with India and our partnership there? What are you guys dreaming about? What's making you really excited? You shared some of it, but if there's anything more.
Yeah, we've shared a bit of that, but I think the relationship is what excites me, the personal relationship. There's an education component to that. I think that's built into the STEP program, education for us mostly, but for them perhaps as well. I think like they're also interested in us. There's a lot we have to learn from them. And I think we've certainly heard from other churches that have been inspired to move in different ways locally because of what they see their partners doing. And so that's one of my hopes for the future. My hope is that we can develop a real prayer support network for them. God hears and answers prayers, so that we want to be effective in that for the work in India. And just that the resources will be used effectively. That's certainly part of our hope. We know some of the ministries that are there, and we're just excited to see them being put to use with Siraj and CP and the other ministries that are happening there. So Yeah, those are some of my hopes for our relationship. Just excited that we're on the road. We've been thinking about it for so long, and excited that
Yeah.
we're on the road with it
Mhm.
now, and the church is responding beautifully.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the road. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sarah?
And from the beginning, I think we realized that the best way to kind of foster a real passion for missions was to be involved in that deep and meaningful way, right? So
Mhm.
that's what drew us to STEP to begin with. And so just my hope anyway, and I think the hope of the church is that this journey will lead to a deeper understanding of mission, of global mission, and that it'll go beyond this 3-year partnership, that it'll develop a lifetime passion and commitment to mission.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing we love about STEP is that it's a partnership. So it's not just about us giving to them or teaching them, but as John said, but that we have a lot to learn from our Indian brothers and sisters in Christ. And so I'm hoping that we can learn from them and be inspired by them and challenged by them, and that will, just as John said, enhance our ministry here in Halifax as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about others, but I found this conversation really inspiring and encouraging, how God's at work at Birch Cove through your congregation locally and the ways that you're at work there, and then also through this new season of partnership with India. And it'll be fun to see, how God works through you, but also in you in this time. Like you said, this mutuality, this learning, serving and learning together. So yeah, thanks for taking some time to share with us.
Adrian, before you say goodbye, I just want to say a big thank you to you, Adrian, to you, Randy, the whole CBM crew. You're working beautifully even during this time, and we just appreciate your heart so much. And thank you for leading us in mission. We just very much appreciate that. And thank you for all the work you do.
Well, thank you, John. Really appreciate that. Do need to wrap up our time together here. Our time is coming to a close. I want to say hi to some people. Serena Paul says hello. I think it might be even joining from India. Kathleen Susi says hi and says love hearing about deep long-term connections to the church and the world. Heather Stanton, I think Randy, you know that person, is very exciting, encouraging to listen as they share the church has come on board. And Dennis Shearman, our Western rep, agrees and says it's encouraging. So thanks for joining us. If you as a church would like to learn more about the STEP program, you can do so on our website. And there's information there, or you can contact your regional rep, either Randy Stanton in the east, Dennis Shearman out west, or Sonia Tetley in central Canada, or you can contact me. We'd love to talk with you more about what that could look like. Please come back tomorrow on CBM Calling, same time, 2:30 Eastern. We're going to have Louise Hanna, my colleague, will be hosting the call with Bruno and Kathleen Susi, team leaders in Latin America. And they're going to be looking at a project that lots of youth and children have engaged in, and it's the composting latrine project in El Salvador. And they're going to look at that through the lens of community development and a local church partnership, and see that really the project is about a lot more than just a composting latrine and clean water. So you won't want to miss that tomorrow at 2:30. So thanks for joining us. We continue to pray for you as the church here in Canada, and ask that you pray for us in our mission work around the world. And we'll talk soon. Thanks.